Deborah Hong is on the call. Deborah, I'm going to hand it over to you. I know you want to have Catherine speak, and I see from my roster that there are quite a few LADWP folks here, and I know you have a presentation to make. So I'll hand it to you, and then you direct me where to go from there.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mariam. And I'm actually going to hand it directly over to Catherine Rubin. Can you unmute her, or maybe she has the ability?
She can definitely unmute herself, but let me just say, everyone, Deborah Hong is the field representative for LADWP in West LA. So she's my contact to LADWP. Everyone, welcome Deborah Hong. Okay, Deborah, I'm going to give Catherine screen sharing, and she's unmuted already.
Right, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine Rubin. I'm the Director of Environmental Affairs at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. And I see a lot of familiar faces from our scoping meeting. I really appreciate that. And I wanted to let you know tonight that we acknowledge everything that you have told us. We're taking in all your concerns, all your letters, everything. And safety is important to us, and we hear your concerns. So we're not ignoring you in any way. But we do have a grid reliability issue here in the Palisades community. And in order to provide electric reliability to this community, we will need a DS station. So what we want to do is that we will come back to you. We're going to model our options again. We'd like to come back to you with several options and work with you as a community, and then move forward with the project. So for tonight, we're not going to move forward with the presentation as planned, but we encourage everyone to continue to email to the ds104ceqa@ladwp.com site. And our next steps, like I said, is going to be, we're going to model these options again. We're going to come back to you, and we're all going to work together with you, with us, so we can figure out what we can do here with the DS station. So with that, that's pretty much my message for tonight. I hope I'm not disappointing anybody. I know that you were expecting a presentation, but we're not going to move forward with that right now.
Okay, so unfortunately, you have probably disappointed a lot of people. This was not a surprise meeting for LADWP. Deborah, you're welcome to chime in at any point, but this was well planned in advance with the promise of a presentation to a community that you stand to impact in a great way. So not making that presentation, I think, is awfully irresponsible of you, I don't mind saying. This is not a small deal in Pacific Palisades. I'm sure if you don't know all of LADWP agents who are on this call, it's woeful if you don't, but the last time you came to this town, it was quite fractious. It was divisive. You picked a few locations that nobody liked. I understand that the council member at the time appointed an 11-member committee of residents who fanned out and spent a lot of time trying to figure out where a substation would be good and where it wouldn't be good. You did not take their advice. There was, community outcry. And so the substation never happened. Nothing's been done for the last, no talk of substation has come up in any substantive way in the last 10 years. You've had a couple of pull tops. I think we've all heard some people think they're great, some people think they're terrible, but they've been working. I think we all know that we need power, but there are a lot of people who also would really like to know what they'd have to give up for that power. And to not make a presentation just before you're having an environmental review, I think is a way of snubbing a community that's asking you to please not snub us. So maybe you'd like to come back next time we meet and make a presentation. Yeah. I do want to say that Deborah and I had a deal, and that was that I would open the floor and allow board members to make comment. Their comments would be part of the record. Deborah and I reaffirmed this today by email. The reason that they'll be part of the record is because I can tell you their names and I can give you their contact numbers, and that's what you require at LADWP to record commentary. So my board has every right to do that while you're on the call. There are also quite a few community members who are here to speak, their mind. I think they have every right to, because again, this is a small community. You're asking to bring an electric substation next to an elementary school. I can't imagine any community not having something to say about that, much less Pacific Palisades. So in all fairness, I think you should be prepared to hear from this community, first from the board and then from, other members if they'd like to speak. I am done with my diatribe. I'll see if anybody else has any comment.
Well, I'd like to step in for a moment.
Sure.
And we totally understand your frustration, but we're really going to evaluate all your concerns and bring back options and work together. We do want to hear from you, and if you'd like to talk, talk to us tonight, that's fine. We're here to listen. We're not here to snub you or to write you off.
Well, I'm also hearing you say that you're going to consider other locations, which I think is great, especially given the feedback that at least I recall hearing from your last scoping meeting that was last week, which I think the community very much appreciated. All right, I'm going to open it up to comments. So again, board members, your comments will be part of the record. Non-board members, you will be heard, but not sure you'll be part of the record unless I can tell them who you are and what your name is. So any board members with comments, please raise your hands. Okay, Benjamin Hanlon, not a board member, but a community member.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Benjamin Hanlon, member of the Palisadian Coalition. First, thank you to all the PPCC members who give their time to this organization. Very much appreciated by me and I know by the community. I jotted down some notes before this evening, and based on what we just heard, I was going to say DWP needs to stop and start over. I am pleased to just have heard that from DWP. But what I think really needs to happen in this rethinking process is that the Marquez location needs to come off the table. This should not be an exercise where DWP is looking at potential alternatives to the Marquez location. Rather, this is an exercise where it's a blank slate, and DWP needs to recognize that the Marquez site is never going to work. It's already been evaluated by DWP's own consultants. They ranked it the lowest possible site. The community spoke many years ago, and I know you're hearing from the community now as to their very strong feelings about this site. So I very much appreciate that you are going to stop and start over. However, I don't think it's going to really be a truly worthwhile effort unless the Marquez site is off the table and the community knows and understands that, and DWP commits, frankly, to transferring that site to a city department that can actually put it to good use. It really needs to be a park. It can be a dog park. It could be any kind of park. It has tremendous value to the community in so many ways. A substation is not one of them. So again, thank you to DWP. I really appreciate what I heard. I look forward to being a part of the process. And I'll just repeat myself one more time and ask that the Marquez site as part of this relook not be included. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benjamin. Haldis Topple and then Beth Holden Garland, if you still want your hand up. Haldis.
Yes, mine is more a request for information rather than a direct question. We've never seen a rendering, a drawing, or a sizing of the proposed substation, neither 10 years ago nor now. Information that we have from the past is that the substation will require 1.5 acres of land, that the substation will be 17 feet above the grade and 17 feet below the grade, that if the substation would be built at the bottom of Palisades Drive, it would require 90% of the flat surface that the commercial district is on, just to give a scope of the project. That was one of the sites, by the way, that DWP suggested, and we denied 10 years ago. I'd like to ask a request for information that sizing, scope, volume be included in information that is provided to the PPCC and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Haldis. Beth, did you want to say something? Or
yeah, I do. I live in the Marquez area, so I drive by the school every day to pick up my daughter when she's, bust. And it just seems like a very insensitive area when there's a lot of children there. And I do want to turn it over to Michael Edlin, who's also a rep in our area, because he said there's a potential for landslides in that area too. So I think Michael should also speak about it.
Michael Edlin, you're welcome to speak about it if you'd like. Randy, I see you.
My comment about unstable land is not professional because I'm a real estate agent, not a geologist. However, many years ago, a local geologist did share with me that canyon has a history of great instability. It's fragile. And if someone were to develop it, he'd be very concerned about the consequences to some of the properties around the rim, as well as the school, which he predicted would have a problem eventually. And as we saw not too many years ago, it did. And they had to demolish some classrooms, which were affected by settlement that was pretty significant.
Which I'm sure you all know, right? DWP, you know that Marquez doesn't have classrooms down there because of the soil instability. I'm sure you know that. If you don't, I believe Allison's on the call and she can reach out to you. So next up is Randy Young. And then after that, we will do Quentin Fleming and then Danielle Fern. Randy, board member, Quentin, board member.
Yes. I've been a part of this. In fact, I watched the original core holes being drilled in 1969 and have pictures of it. This is a complex issue. It has, I think, far-reaching aspects as far as other schools, because at Palisades High, they put up towers that are basically transmitters of electromagnetic waves of every sort. And it's because we don't have a Faraday cage structure, which would be what is going to be built at Marquez. But I also want you to think about if you're going to declare that any substation near schools are inappropriate, you have to understand there are a lot of schools, including Kenter, has a huge high-powered line that goes right over the school and goes to a farm that has huge transformers. And Brentwood School also has a transformer station right next to it. So are we to start a process of removing these from around schools? Because that's the question that has just been raised here. And maybe this is where we have to have scientific knowledge brought to us and actually give us what the dangers are. This is going to be a learning process, and we should listen. I'm done.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, Quentin.
Hi, thanks. I'll try to be brief. I'm a little bit confused here because it sounds like I'm hearing Marquez is on the table again. And a decade ago, I'm in sync with Michael Edlin, that a decade ago, it was discovered that there were geological issues in the Marquez site, and DWP said that it would be taken off the table permanently. And now it sounds like it's back on the table again, and I'm just confused. Thank you.
Well, Catherine and the other at least handful of LADWP folks on the call, I'll have you respond to, Quentin. It's not a substantive question. We're not asking you the size or the scope. We're saying, why is it back on the table if 10 years ago it was going to be not on the table?
So we are, like I said, we're going to be reevaluating all the options again. Many of us were not there 10 years ago, so we need to come back and look at this.
Okay, so Catherine, for your benefit from 10 years ago, it was divisive, and I was not PPCC chair, but I am letting you know that I don't want to see it be divisive again. So if you do have to go back to the drawing board, if LADWP has to get really creative, I will not allow this community to again be at each other's necks because you've got two proposals and neither is good. So please be mindful of how tight-knit this community is.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I said Danielle, so Danielle Fern, and then Danielle Samulon, and then Richard Shepard.
Thanks very much, Mariam. And thanks, Mr. Young, for mentioning the safety concerns. I just, everybody's, I think, on this call, or maybe I don't know if everybody's aware of the safety concerns at Marquez. It's a high fire danger area, unstable geology, immediately next door to an elementary school with poor ingress and egress. And I want to make sure that everybody on this call is aware of the LAUSD's official position on constructing any kind of substation at the Marquez site. Mr. Melvoin, who's the representative on the board of the LAUSD for this area, wrote a letter to the DWP just last week, dated January 18th, 2023, where he reiterated that the LAUSD is against any kind of substation at the Marquez location. And he reaffirmed LAUSD's position that it's prepared to use all legal resources at its disposal. The letter, reading from his letter, it says that the board unanimously adopted a resolution directing staff to, quote, employ whatever legal means available to oppose any proposed environmental certification or issuance of a permit to operate associated with the siting of a power distribution station near Marquez Charter School. If DWP wants to continue to pursue anything at Marquez, it appears like it would be a massive waste of effort and taxpayer money, because the community is against it, LAUSD is against it, and LAUSD is committing its legal resources to fight it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Allison Holdorf is on the call, so I'm going to let her speak in a minute or two. Danielle, I already gave you the floor, so go ahead. Danielle Samulon, formerly.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be brief. I think, a lot has already been said that needs to be said, but just to remind people, as someone mentioned, I think, Miriam, it was you, that 10 classrooms since the DWP reproposed 10 years ago to start working on a power distribution station next to Marquez. Marquez Elementary had to have 10 classrooms demolished because of geology problems and on that same canyon right next door. So, and they haven't even been rebuilt. So that's one thing to consider. And Randy, we're not talking about something that we're not talking about building something in the 20s, in the 1920s or 30s, whenever the Brentwood distribution station was built or the other one in the Palisades. We're talking about, progress and moving on and what is right in this day and age in 2023 with much more information. We're talking specifically about Marquez Charter Elementary's location in the highest fire hazard severity zone in a geologically unstable area that the DWP's own environmental consultants just a couple of years ago determined to be fatally flawed geologically and basically not buildable. And so that's what we're talking about. And then pole tops in our community are seen by the majority of people in the Palisades as a good solution because there wasn't another solution that the DWP could come up with, and most people are fine with it. And did someone say something? Okay. And I also wanted to mention, just historically speaking, the DWP mentions in their literature that they do own that property. The school was there decades long before that property was acquired by eminent domain by the DWP. The DWP did so with very little money because it was a known geological unstable area. And if anyone's driven down Sunset in the last few weeks, they will see how geologically unstable it is. I personally got a flat tire from rocks that were sliding down the hill. So
Danielle, you know we have time constraints. So
yeah, thank you.
Okay. Again, LADWP, are you saying that you're not going to do your environmental study?
We're not moving forward right now with the environmental document for the Marquez location. We're going to go look at more options.
Okay.
We want to come back to you with options and work with the community.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to push for answers, but so that going back to the drawing board, will you or have you, or do you think about considering the status of the soil? I mean, this is an unprofessional call of a community council. I assume you'll have someone study the soil.
Of course.
Okay. I want to give the floor to Allison. Murray, I see you. Murray Levy, board member, but Allison Holdorf, who is board member Nick Melvoin's senior policy director, is on the call. She happens to be a board member. So Allison, I wonder if you'd like to say a word.
Sure. Just briefly, and Miriam, I will send you the letter that Nick sent to DWP. I know Danielle has posted it on their site to make sure that you can all read that. But it basically reiterates back under Superintendent Deasy when this issue came up way back when, and when Steve Zimmer was a school board, there were 2 resolutions passed by the board saying, we're not doing this. We're not having these type of facilities built next to our schools. So Nick's letter basically reiterates that, but I'm happy to pass that along. And I was at the last hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Murray Levy, Murray Joyce, and then I think we might wrap it up. And Richard Shepard. So that's it. Those are the last 3, I think. Murray, Joyce, and Richard Shepard.
I just had a question, and I'm new to the board and new to many of these discussions. Other than the existing pole towers that DW put up, has there been any other alternate sites proposed for the substation other than the place on Marquez?
Right, there has been some studies done on some other sites, but we're going to go back and look at other options.
So the point is, at some point, you're going to present to the community a series of possible sites.
Yes, we want to work with you.
Any idea when that's going to happen?
It's going to happen, right? I mean, we're going to start right away, and then we're going to come back to you probably in about a month or so. We'll work through Deborah, and we'll be working with the community, with you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Joyce. I have a feeling Joyce is not able to unmute, and these are the last couple of comments we're taking, guys. But so Richard Shepard.
Hi, I'm actually Nilafar Shepard, married to Richard Shepard. I'm using his iPad. I apologize. But thank you for letting me comment. I really just wanted to thank the DWP for acknowledging that they heard the community and that they're taking Marquez off the table, because I think that really is the only inevitable result of what the last exercise taught all of us in the community 12 years ago, that there were a multitude of very good reasons why Marquez shouldn't even be up for consideration. It was really quite stunning to come back and get that sense of deja vu that we're right back at the beginning. So I really encourage the good folks at the DWP to go through their files, pay attention to all the details about why this site is not feasible. It's not just the community saying it's not feasible in overwhelming unison. It's also your own experts. It's in your own records. And I can appreciate that there's been turnover there, but you don't need to take our word for it. It's all in the record. And I really applaud the acknowledgement that you might have made a misstep here and that you're going to backtrack. So thank you.
And Joyce Wong Cup, our last comment.
Oh. Thank you. And I apologize about my technical challenges here. But hi, my name is Joyce Wong Cup. I've lived in the Palisades with my family for 14 years. My kids are Marquez alumni, and I've served in numerous parent leader roles there. Throughout the years, I've served on the MKPOA, and I'm a founding member of the Coalition of Palisadians to Keep Marquez Charter Safe. And so in that capacity, I previously served on the DS 104 Task Force. formed by Councilmember Bill Rosendahl, LA School Member Steve Zimmer, and DWP many years ago. So thank you very much for reopening this very important issue. This is not the first time that I've spoken about it here, and I'm sure it won't be the last. And, you know, I've actually prepared lots of details just to go into the weeds about why, of all the 15 sites previously considered by the task force, the Marquez site is the worst possible site, deemed to be incompatible with the community and, you know, categorically rejected. But in light of the, you know, conversation ongoing here in the new developments, I just want to say, you know, thank you very much from DWP, everyone from DWP, for agreeing to go back to the drawing board. You know, countless others and I feel very, very strongly about this issue. You know, we have adamantly, vehemently opposed this potential site for over 10 years, and we're prepared to, you know, continue doing that. And we are also prepared to work with you as a community to look into alternatives, anything but the Marquez site. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. So I know I said that would be the last comment, but Casey Soul is our emergency preparedness advisor, and she had her hand up. So I don't want to I don't want to skip her if that's okay. Casey, if you're still on the call. Nope, she left. Okay. LADWP, I thank you very much for making the time to come, even though there was no presentation made. Maybe there was no need for a presentation to be made, so I appreciate it. And Deborah, please stay in touch. You're welcome to come to PPCC anytime and give us an update. Catherine, thank you.
Thank you.
And Matthew Hale, thank you. And Carrie McCordle and Aidan Leong, all of you, thank you for being on the call.
Thank you. We appreciate it. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.